Come on, poetry.
Diary of a Substitute Teacher, entry number 872. She proudly raises her arm violently, and I called on her smiling excitedly. She vibrantly stood up and said, "I'm gonna be a professional tetherball player." And at first I thought it was cute, because there's something in the smile in the eyes of a fourth grade girl that could change your world from a post-colonial catastrophe to, believe it or not, kind of a happy place to be. And then I got excited, because understanding your entire purpose at life at like age 9 is more sublime than 40 ounces of freedom, and that too was a lesson I learned from KRS-One. Recess was at 1. So I decided to try and see this tetherball prodigy. Probably had to be the most amazing display of athleticism since Michael Jordan from the free throw line. I'm saying Nike should make shoes after her, and the logo would look like no throwies, no ropies, no holdies. She holds down court number 5, barely challenged by the bravest of 5th grade guys. And at this point, I shouldn't be surprised, because if Muhammad Ali could knock out Joe Frazier, why can't she be better at tetherball and smarter than a 5th grader? I figured it might hit me later. But just as she reached back, punched the ball rope wraps high around the pole, the disappointment of her future punches my heart, and I feel guilty for getting high on our hopes. Like, how do I tell her? There's no tetherball in junior high school or National Tetherball Association. You got only 1 year left to play, then retire your jersey. You were once worthy, now reminisce on how good you were back when you had the magic. How do I tell her there's no transatlantic? Flights from John F. Kennedy to London Heathrow, no heat smoke pyrotechnics if the announcer calls your name for the gold medal game. How do I tell her you gotta use your brain just to make 75 cents to a man's dollar, work so much harder and clearly be smarter just to have someone say he's better for this position than you? How do I tell her the truth? Don't just beat the boys, punish them dudes, because you could forever be tied underneath the glass ceiling the same way the ball stays tied to that pole. How do I beg her never ever start dancing on that pole? How do I tell her the things that I know? How do I tell her that one day she might go into her body and look in the mirror in fear of her self-image because she was told she didn't have enough curves or too much curves? I want her to understand Chandra Mahanti and promptly insist her role as a transnational feminist in a gender-centered society. How do I tell her never ever speak quietly? You don't have to smile if he ever lays a hand on you, ball a fist at you, cuss at you, call you out of your name, then you leave him. And if he even thinks about cheating when he's sleeping, I want you to cut off this. Never mind, you should just leave him. I watched her at recess, where boys and girls play further away from each other than blacks and whites worshiping at Sunday service. Her, sitting in class, waving her arm violently, I called on her smiling excitedly. She vibrantly stood up and said, "Don't you think I could be the best tetherball player in the world?" I said, "Sweetheart, you can do something better than that. You can become a woman who changes that world."
Let's go.